come on, son, just jump in the pool. You'll be fine. It'll be fun.
Dad, I think there's a shark in there.
No, don't be Oh shit, someone's here. Oh, it's just a viewer. It's not Child Protective Services. All right, guys, welcome back to another video. I went and watched Superman without my son here. They said no crying babies allowed. Let's get right into it. So it doesn't take someone with eyes or ears to know this movie was better than all of Snyderverse. Except the stuff James Gunn worked on, of course. I mean, David Cornsweet as Superman, oh my god, he did amazing. Not only did I have butterflies in my stomach watching him, but I wish I was a little butterfly that flew onto his nose and gave him a little kiss. Mwah. I have seen Superman in all sorts of different types of media, between shows, games, and of course movies. And you don't really realize something's missing until you get it. And that's exactly what happened here. The kindness and the gentleness of this Superman was just unparalleled. I almost wanted to show some love to my son after this movie. That's how full of hope and kindness it made me feel. And this movie wasn't perfect, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but it has legitimately changed comic book movies as we know it. I don't know about you guys, but I've never walked out of a movie theater from watching a comic book movie and literally felt wonder. It just shows how flexible you can be with these movies. You don't have to stick to the same thing every time. I mean, David Cornsweet looked the part, sounded the part, he felt like the part. He executed perfectly, in my opinion. And then we have his counterpart, Nicholas Hoult. I mean, that was awesome. Talk about number one hater. People have been talking about Reverse Flash for the longest time. This guy, I just couldn't even believe the level of hate. He takes literally everything personally. Just Superman's existence offends him. He has thousands of monkeys writing hate comments about Superman online. Ex-girlfriends and people who said one mean thing about him are all imprisoned in a pocket dimension. And all of that sounds kind of goofy, but Nicholas Hoult sold it. He made it extremely believable for this character of Lex Luthor. Every time he was on screen, I wanted his bald ass to get beat the shit out of. And another good writing stunt from them, they didn't have Superman do that because Superman's too good for that. A movie is usually doing something right when characters or the writing makes you really feel something. And for the other characters, I thought them doing Jimmy Olsen as like this lady killer with W. Riz, I thought that was pretty funny. I would have liked to see him interact with Superman / Clark Kent just a little bit more. I also could have seen a little bit more of Clark Kent, but not like a huge deal. Lois Lane was pretty good. Personally, I think they might have been able to find someone who executed stronger, but I still think she did the job. And I definitely felt the fact that she took her job very seriously. So overall, I'm still happy with her character. I think it could have been a little bit better. Nathan Fillion has been deserving of a role like this for a long time now. I was such a giant fan of Castle, and I'm sure a lot of you probably were and liked Firefly too, and Rookie, he was also in that show. But he's a criminally underrated actor, and he did awesome as Guy Gardner. Not much to say besides that, to be honest. Eddie Gathegi, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the guy who played Mr. Terrific, another very underrated performance. I see everyone talking about Superman and Lex Luthor. I don't see a lot of people talking about him. In the comments, I see a lot of people mentioning him, but not a lot of posts. I mean, that was just a perfect execution, in my opinion. And then Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, I think also did a good job. I think she was probably the most underutilized, but I think it was meant to be like that. And usually when I think of Hawkgirl, I think of like pretty brutal and to the point, and she did that. She also looked the part. Seeing Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho was also really cool. If you guys watched Gotham, he was Victor Zsasz, so that's a pretty cool throwback. And I've always been a huge fan of Metamorpho ever since Batman Brave and the Bold, the show. It was very cool seeing his character, especially showing how strong he is and how diverse his arsenal is. I didn't understand the whole him caring about his kid thing, personally. I mean, I guess his kid was a baby, so I guess he could still love him.
You love me though, right, Dad?
Okay, moving on. I'm not sure how I felt about Ultraman being a straight-up clone, but I think there will be more payoff with that character. As soon as he took off his mask, I knew that he was basically going to go into the black hole, and we'd probably see him in something else later on. I hope he becomes a legitimate character and ends up being, bad Superman in another universe. That's what I think will happen. I'm kind of indifferent that he was a clone. Now to go more of the stuff I didn't like as much. The first thing I just want to mention, I wouldn't say I don't like it. Because of the tone of the movie, the jokes didn't land as hard as something like the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm not complaining about that because I understand it. It's not that the jokes weren't funny. It's just that the humor didn't contrast as hard as like Guardians of the Galaxy, for instance. Like the stuff like hashtag super shit and just a lot of it, like the jokes were funny. But I just think because of the theme of hope and stuff like that, it was already kind of like an uplifting movie. So I just kind of already felt good, I guess. And then the jokes landed and they just didn't hit me as hard. I still thought to myself, that's funny. And it got a chuckle out of me. And like I mentioned before, I do wish we saw a little bit more of Clark Kent. There was also just some weird writing stuff. Like when Metamorpho stopped with the kryptonite and started making that little sun. How did no one see that and do something to Metamorpho's kid? Or try to stop them or threaten them or anything like that? There could be an easy off-screen explanation, but that just felt like kind of weird and way too convenient. It really felt like it took the risk away from that whole situation. I also wasn't a huge fan of the post-credit scenes. I sat through the whole credits, and that last credit scene wasn't really much of a payoff. Not that they were necessarily bad, they were nice and goofy and feel good, but I just waited that whole time, and that's what I saw. I wish I got more of a payoff for that. But guys, that is the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Giuseppe, take us home now.
Okay, Dad.
Just come back for fun. Because it's great being alive with you.
Good reason.